Hello, I'm Graham Ross and welcome to Garden Clinic TV. You know, gardening and what we eat has come together in a way like we've never seen before. And a good example of that would be garlic. Of course, we may not have grown garlic back in the 50s, 60s and 70s, but we grew their relatives: leeks, chives, onions, and of course shallots, all well known and very popular. But it wasn't until our kids started bringing home as adults garlic into the kitchen I thought, hold on, interesting flavour, and of course we can grow this in the garden. It's been around for a long time, 7,000 years. It's been used not only for food but for its medicinal and sometimes magical properties as well. It's a native of Asia, but it's a staple food diet right throughout the Mediterranean and has been for thousands of years. It's now used extensively throughout the Americas, Africa, Asia, and of course Europe. And in some cases, it's not only its medicinal qualities and its flavour, but of course it's the added minerals and vitamins and all that energy and those sort of very special benefits that it gives us for our own health. 20 or 30 years ago, we actually only had 3 or 4 different varieties of garlic. Today in Australia, there are over, believe it or not, 100 different varieties, all suited to the different climates. Globally, there are over 1,000, so Australia's doing fairly well in the garlic stakes. But how do you actually grow garlic? Well, you can grow them from seed, but it's very slow. It's better to actually buy some garlic down at your greengrocer. But here's where the trap is. You see, Australians are consuming more garlic in the kitchen than we're actually growing commercially. That's why homegrown garlic is a really good idea. But as with a lot of crops, we're seeing imported garlic from Chile, South America, and of course China. Now, the Aquis, the quarantine service, say they don't want any soil on the garlic, and that means no roots. So what they do is they actually scallop. Yeah, there's a good example. They scallop the roots out with a little special knife, which takes out the roots and the soil. And that means it comes in soil-free, which is exactly what we want. We don't want any bugs coming into Australia. But unfortunately, they're also treated with methyl bromide gas. And on top of that, when you see those bags of garlic and they're pristine white, they've been bleached. Now, you don't want either of those things in the garlic that you're eating. Another good reason to buy Australian garlic, or even better still, grow your own. So how do you know what to look for to buy Australian garlic? Well, firstly, they're not worried about the roots, so you'll always find a little stubble of roots on the bottom of Australian garlic. It's very likely the best sign. Talking of signs, they'll sometimes say Australian grown garlic. Well, if you believe them, you can believe them, but sometimes you can't always. But I should warn you, now I've got one here to show you. See this one here? This is actually Australian garlic, but in some warm tropical parts of Australia where they grow garlic, because of the high humidity, the roots tend to encourage a bit of rot. So they cut out some of the roots, but they'll always leave a little stubble, a little bit of soil and a few roots there. That's another indication it's Australian garlic and quite safe to grow, but of course it's not imported and hasn't been treated with anything that you don't want to eat. So how do you actually grow it in the ground? Well, once you've prepared the soil, you just need to grab your garlic. Now you can plant a clove like that, a whole bulb, but I like to break it up and break them into little sections, and you end up with cloves. Okay, now there they are there. Just a little clump of cloves, one jumped out, and that's how I like to grow them. Separate those sections out because they will all grow into their own little clumps of garlic. See them there? Beautiful, aren't they? You don't need to take off all the little furry bits on the side, just as long as you can separate them out. Then pop them into the soil that you've well prepared. Some people bury them fairly deeply, but I'm always worried, certainly in my garden, about a bit of extra unseasonal rain. I don't want them rotting. So I always have the little point here sticking just above the ground. So pop those into the ground in a nice little row and then water them once, but don't water them again until you start to see them growing. Now, to finish off so that you know where they are, cover them over, right over the top and right around them with some little violas. Now, it not only looks pretty, brings the bees into your garden, it also protects the garlic, and as the garlic starts to grow, it helps the garlic to stand up nice and straight. By the time the garlic's finished, the violas will have started to finish. You can pull those out. So when do you plant garlic? Well, there's an old saying around that you plant on the shortest day and harvest it on the longest day. If nothing else, it gives you an indication it's a very slow crop to mature. Now, Linda, she plants hers at Easter and harvests it in November and gets a fantastic crop. So there you go, somewhere between Easter and the shortest day in June. It's up to you. The main thing you've got to watch out for are those heavy rains in springtime. You've got to make sure the beds are well elevated and drained really well. That's why they grow well in a terracotta pot. And of course, watch out for those unseasonal rains. But you know, grow garlic. It's a fantastic crop to grow. Not only a lot of fun, but those health properties are worth waiting for. Give it a go this season.